Hi, lovelies! Welcome back. I know it's been a while, and I'm really glad to be back with you. This week, I want to talk about what was kind of behind that break and what I learned from it and what I think we can all learn from it. Because if you've listened to any of my stuff before, you know I talk about how we are nature. That nature isn't this thing that is different and separate from us, but it's actually who we are at our core. It's what's really true behind the noise. And one of the things that is so crucial to see with that is that nature operates in cycles. We see this most clearly with the seasons and also with the kind of day-night cycle. But whether we're looking at it on a macro or micro scale, the truth is that things have cycles. There's the growth cycle of plants where things come into being, come into fruit, come into their fullest expression of themselves, and then into a process of decay. There is, of course, the moon cycle. There's the sun cycle, which we call day, night, and seasons. And really, if we look at different things in life, there is a cycle to everything. But one of the things that our culture has kind of forgotten is that we are cyclical beings with a cyclical nature because we are nature. And one of the things that I think it's so easy to forget is that we're not meant to be going all the time. And that leads to a lot of burnout, a lot of sickness, a lot of disease, because we're trying to operate in a way that's not how the system is actually designed to work. So for me, one of the reasons that I needed to step back and take a big break from everything that I was doing for a while was because I noticed that I was kind of always in spring-summer mode. And what I mean by that is spring being kind of the planning mode and summer being the kind of visibility out there action mode. I was always kind of cycling between those two, like planning and doing, planning and doing, planning and doing, planning and doing, totally forgetting about the other two cycles, the autumn and winter cycle, that has us kind of go inwards and, rest and reflect and really kind of look at things in a deeper way. Because whether we're talking about our planet going through that cycle, or whether we're talking about a creative project, or our lives, or our businesses, or relationships, or whatever area we're looking at it through, it's the same thing, is that our culture is really, really, really good at pushing the idea that it should be spring and summer all the time. We should always be happy, we should always be doing, we should always be in action. And the other part of that, the kind of more inward, more self-focused, more reflective, more restful stages, is completely devalued in our culture. It's seen as weak, it's seen as feminine, it's seen as unimportant, and it's something that I fell prey to in my own life, of always kind of neglecting that more restorative, regenerative aspect of my life and always being in the doing. So I realized that I needed a break when I fractured my foot and ended up being in a cast from May to August. So it was a really fun way that I spent my summer. And it was my right foot, so yeah, driving was not a thing. Walking was definitely not a thing. It was just a lot of being forced into rest and reflection, which was actually such a blessing and so good for me. But at the time I was fighting it tooth and nail because that's not how I thought it worked. I'm like, me having a broken foot is just going to get in the way of all of the stuff I have to do. But I wasn't seeing that the doing is only one half of the equation. That if we don't match that with, it's almost like we're inhaling all the time. Like we're like, if we never just actually breathe out, then we're missing the cycle that actually makes things possible. And because we are nature, there is a natural flow and a natural kind of rhythm that we can tap into just by listening to what our wisdom is telling us, what our bodies are telling us. And when we don't do that, we tend to get sick, burnt out, or in my case, be put out for a really long time with a fracture that I had actually, an injury that I actually did about 7 or 8 months before I found out in May that it was a fracture. I was just pushing through the pain every day because I had to get stuff done. And that's why my recovery was so long and I wasn't out of the cast until mid-August. So long way of saying that when we pretend that we can just always be in spring and summer mode and we can always do one half of the equation without the other regenerative, restorative half, things don't go so well. So I'm really glad that I did take some time away, and I'm feeling so much more healthy and refreshed and rebalanced and recentered and refocused on what really matters. And I'm really, really glad to be back with you guys. So yeah, that's really all I want to talk about this week. My invitation to you is just to really see, like, where are you fighting what you're feeling called to do, what your body and your wisdom and just the energy that you have in your life is going towards? When are you saying, I don't have time to sleep tonight, even though I'm really tired, or I don't have time to take this nap or this rest, or I don't have time to take a week off, or I don't have time to do things differently? Because our culture is definitely not making it easy on us. Like, don't get me wrong, there is a lot of pressure to always be doing and always be producing and always be inhaling, and we never really recognize and honor the exhale and recognize and honor that there's more to the story than just doing. So where can you let yourself be led by your natural cycle? And that's not necessarily going to be a 5-month break from videos. It may or it may not. It could be as simple as you just deciding that, oh my God, my body is just asking me for a break, and I'm going to take this week as easy and as minimally and as restoratively as is humanly possible given my circumstances. And when we start to do that, we save so much energy, because not only does it not really take energy to go with what our energy is, like, have you noticed that when you naturally feel energized and like doing all of these things, it's so easy to do that when you have the energy, and it's so hard to do it when you don't? When we're not fighting what we actually feel like doing, things flow and things are easy because we're just going with nature. We're just going with how the universe is. And when we're always fighting against that flow and trying to overcome our energetic limitations or our physical limitations or our health limitations and saying, no, I always have to be in the spring and summer mode, then it's not going to do too well for us. And we all know examples, whether they're health examples, relationship examples, work examples, where these things start to break down because we're not actually honoring where we're at, what we're feeling, where our energy is, and what the natural flow of life wants to co-create with us. So I'm really, really glad to be back. I will be back with you guys next week. I hope you take that invitation to just kindly look at what areas in your life need a little bit more of autumn-winter energy. And maybe they don't. Maybe the spring and summer is exactly what you're feeling right now. And if that's the case, then all the power to you. But when we really look at an honest look at, like, what am I actually feeling and what is actually helpful to me, and remembering that we are part of these larger systems than just these little separate beings that have to go and make everything happen in the world, then we'll start to notice that we come up against a lot less resistance and a lot less struggle, and there's a lot more ease and grace that we get to relax into. So I'm sending you guys so much love, and I will be back with you next week. Take care, be well, and speak soon. Bye.